Shalom, my fellow Ndongo Hebrew Israelites, and those that follow us, follow we Ndongo Hebrew Israelites in truth and in righteousness, according to John chapter 8, verse 32, King James Version, that reads, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." I am King Achash Faraj. I say to my fellow Ndongo Hebrew Israelite and Bandu peoples, we must get back to our culture, our true Hebrew Israelite culture. We must first understand where we came from in order to know where we're going. The last thing we were before we became international kidnapped, so-called black people, African Americans, and or African slaves, we were kidnapped Ndongo Hebrew Israelite and Bandu peoples. We are the ones that has followed the lawful biblical and spiritual and prophetic prophecy course of Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, King James Version, etc. We are the Ndongo Hebrew Israelites and Bandu peoples that's due reparations and restoration. That's why my people must understand what I'm saying to you. I need you to lawfully, biblically, spiritually, and prophetically understand what's going on. Listen closely to what I am that I am, Ahayah, Exodus chapter 3, verse 13 to 14, King James Version, is having me to say to you, and to see clearly what Ahayah is having me to show to you. Once you pay more attention to what I'm lawfully, not legally, biblically, and spiritually saying to you and showing you, you will begin to understand who you actually are and who you will actually become. You already know the blood is of the Father. My earthly father, our lawful, biblical, spiritual, and prophetic and former king, Oscar Angola and Bandi Tucker, did not know who he was. But according to the transatlantic slave trade, and since we kidnapped Ndongo Hebrew Israelite and Bandu peoples were in the August of 1619 to August 2019 transatlantic slave trade era, it didn't matter whether my earthly father, our Ndongo Hebrew Israelite and Bandu king, knew he was a king or not. In my vision that was given to me in 2012, I am that I am, Ahayah, Exodus 3, chapter 3, verse 13 to 14, King James Version, had the Holy Spirit tell me who I am to give me a vision, give me the spiritual spirit of discernment, peoples to help me, and resources to carry out that vision. After my earthly father, our King Oscar Angola and Bandi Tucker. There was no reason for a king in bondage to know he is a king. He couldn't save anyone anyway. According to the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28:68 that reads, "And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt," meaning bondage, "again with ships, by the way where I spoke unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you," meaning the king. No king shall save us either. That's Deuteronomy 28:68, King James Version. We were still in slavery and captivity until August of 2019, according to the transatlantic slave trade and the lawful biblical and spiritual and prophetic prophecy of Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, King James Version, Deuteronomy 28:36, and Deuteronomy 28:68, King James Version. No Hebrew Israelite or Hebrew Israelite camp could explain the Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15, King James Version, connection to the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28, verse 36, King James Version, and our Ndongo Hebrew Israelite kings. The talks is always about Deuteronomy 28:68 only. The talk about Deuteronomy 28 verse 36, King James Version, was for me and those with me to talk about and to bring out, to begin a new kingship according to Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, and Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17 through 24, King James Version. Yasharal has nothing but kings and queens, but we must always remember that I am, Ahayah, Exodus chapter 3, verse 13 through 14, King James Version, himself set a king of kings over all his kings and queens of Yisrael. I am that rod and root of Jesse. There must be order. I need my people to help me, help them, to help us all with establishing that order in conformity with Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, King James Version, and Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17 to 24. I can't do this alone. The vision said I would need my people help in order to help them. So inbox me to begin the declaration and identification processes and new lawful biblical and spiritual chapter in our lives, my people. As the Hebrew Israelites that were kidnapped as Ndungo and Bandu peoples during the transatlantic slave trade that are now due reparations according to the lawful biblical, spiritual, and prophetic prophecy of Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, and restoration according to the lawful biblical, spiritual, and prophetic prophecy of Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 17 through 24, King James Version. Get with me, my people, so we can move forward. I say shalom. Stay focused.